Hey guys, welcome to video number 3. I call this one Lessons from the Dark Side. This year has seen me experience wonderful things, meet amazing people, travel to beautiful places, and at the same time has seen me go through the depths of despair, depression, and negative situations and feelings, depths to which I have vowed myself back in 2016 never to return to, but nevertheless found myself there. So what I've learned throughout this year with the dark side of things, with the dark side of humanity, that ego thing, or that darkness that comes and grabs you when you're at your most vulnerable, is that it's all emotions. It's all emotions. It's and a state of mind can easily, a decision to change your state of mind is all that is needed. Unfortunately, when you're in such a low state, you can't see you can't see beyond it, and you're focused on the negative things, the lack that you have. So it's very hard to climb yourself out of there. So I'll tell you a little story. When I came back, and I think I touched on this in another video, but when I came back from Barcelona feeling such a high for life, and I've gained incredible knowledge and was looking forward to apply it, came back to Vancouver and settled into this old pattern of server actor. And because of my debts that I've accumulated on my travels, I slowly began to focus a lot on the lack that was in my life instead of being grateful. And that's number one. When you're in a state of lack, try to take some time to write about the things that you are grateful, see the things that you are grateful, meditate on them, and that could easily turn your emotional state around. So anyways, I started spiraling down, focused on my debts, on the lack of money, the lack of success, the lack of everything that was in my life, and I thought I had hit a low point. And I thought leaving my job at a certain restaurant that I was working at that moment was the answer. I thought that was the answer. And so fast forward, that happened, and fast forward a month, I just kept spiraling more and more out of into depression, into this state of lack, and to a point where it got really, really freaking dark. And at that point, what I realized is I had to put the chips together to lay the foundation that will slowly get me out of the hole, and that's it. So it was just focusing on pure survival instincts, which was funny enough, going back and getting a job. And from then on, just trusting that the universe will somehow shift, my universe will shift, that I will see good things that I can reach out and grab on my ascent back out of that dark valley. So it's funny that when I thought I was at my darkest, that feeling of lack and negativity there easily spiraled me out to a way darker place a month later. And the only thing that got me back was getting back the job that I left, or a similar job in a different restaurant, and just taking care of the base foundation, which is surviving in this economic system, right? But so the thought is, it brings me back to the law of attraction, right? If in my darkness and in our darkest times, we can convince our brains can convince us that there is no way out, that it's completely hopeless, and if we can dwindle down to a point where we think that for instance, the darkest, let's say, suicidal thoughts, to think that at that point, taking our own lives is the best option. If our brains can convince us that is actually the way to go at that point, then could it not contrarily, polarly, at the other end, bring us to a state where we feel abundance and love and so grateful for being alive, and we fall so much in love with being alive that we look back at the valley that we were stuck in and decide that we will never go back to such depths again, or vowed never to return, or never to return to such trivial grounds, or let ourselves get caught up when we are starting to slide down a slippery slope. So that's basically it. Noticing that it's all emotions, and that pain is temporary. I've said that in other videos. Pain is discomfort is just temporary. There will be another day if you just stick to it and care about yourself. Give yourself a bit of self-care, a bit of self-love, to slowly get out of that valley, that dark valley. And maybe a final thought on this issue, something that was resonated as I was going through my notes on the James Clear habit seminar that I did earlier on this year. He mentioned something about decision fatigue, and how at the end of the day, as we make more and more tiny little decisions throughout our day, our brains experience something called decision fatigue, or we experience that as a whole. And what decision fatigue to me was the trigger that led me to a lot of my bad habits, which led me to a lot of my addictions. I didn't realize that what I was experiencing at the end of a tough serving shift, or at the end of a long shift in which I did work that I did not care about, that was taxing on my body and on my spirit, what I was experiencing was decision fatigue. At that point, or just total body fatigue, which leads you to bad decisions. And just noticing, for those of you who are struggling with addictions and who are like to have a drink now and then, or too many drinks now and then, and you're sort of repressing, you're denying yourself proper sleep and proper self-care by doing that. And and what resonated from that note was, decision fatigue was a big trigger to one of my biggest bad habits, that had led me down a path of substance abuse and alcoholism throughout those years. So noticing when you are in decision fatigue can be a key to taking care of yourself, and could be that decision, that very important pivotal point for where you either slip down a slippery slope into bad habit, feeding into your bad habits, and eventually slipping into depression, or simply going to bed. Simply going to have a decent meal and then going to bed, or simply taking good care of yourself, taking time off to decompress, meditate after a shift, instead of going out and drinking your sorrows away, or feeding into more distractions. So that was a nice little note that resonated throughout the ethos of my of this whole exercise of putting things together for these videos. So basically that's it. If we can go all the way, if our minds can convince us to go all the way that dark, why couldn't it reversely not take us to great heights? And that's the power of the law of attraction and visualizing and positive thinking that everybody is talking about. That's how I see it. And be careful for decision fatigue. That's another one. So yeah, those were my important lessons with dealing with the dark side this year, that happened in 2017. So thank you for listening. If you've been through such times in 2017, I know it was a weird year for a lot of people. Please comment and share, and we'll get a conversation going. And let me know if what you guys think of this video and what you've similarly experienced throughout this year. Thank you, and stick around for video number 4, gratitude.